Hello, America, and the human identity of volume. This is how we are a species, as an identity of volume /s, individually grouped and together. This, with everything, know how there are other species too, in demonstration of the same thing, which is, science reveals, one identity of value progression's identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that perpetually increasing. This is what science reveals. Now, the ancients called this the identity of the body. Excuse me, of fur I just ate. Excuse me, the body of forever. There are proofs. Also, we have formal private people, private experts on psychology, who are delusions, wrought, criminally foreign influences, pounding drums, and with the branches of government, worse than rich trials rolls. Since founding, excuse me. So, this is relevant. This is evidences. Interbranch, they've been using their locations as roles with areas crimes, because once they get people into their locations, they can fabricate information, pretend it was recorded, and you'll never be able to talk about it. They perpetually maintained originally and still the wrong outcomes in cases, even when they catch the right people. They're hiding the breaching roles. You have to study where each, in relationship to the most overtly, to correlation, we have locations, areas, states, all of them. Criminally foreign influenced, tactically denatured, that's self-valued, as victims, not realizing, as victim predators, defenses of that. As fact cheapening nature styles and fact treatments manifest. As fake sides of correlation nature's Trinity. Every time they make a body of value, a fact or facts treatments, we're facts finding. That was involved, the Congress's roles with those impeachment proceedings were involved with them individually grouped and together, criminally foreign influenced. Having to hide roles with that through what used them to need to hide live progressions. Then their roles are not directly with that. Before there was any position of any sophistication of any modern nation's identities of the law, locations, relationships, education, that education, those identity grounds were already criminally foreign influenced. They were already used remotely. What do you think those sick, crazy laws about what people could say in relationship to things like slavery, which was against our founding parents too. They put it sickly distinctly against people with more pigment, specifically to create and to propagate and to methodically, effectively maintain self-cultivated divisions. Uses, fact cheapening nature styles, all tactically ulterior from why and how we are individual grouped together. That fact cheapening nature reality. Not reality with part left out, exceptions in exception nature, their function not allowed to work, emotions. These are people that have been lying about in other words, pretending like, some people can't have a poker face. Those are that, I don't understand the extent of it, but it's related to a whole bunch of people with downtown, with the buildings downtown, associated with Allegro's Cafe, associated with a whole bunch of people with the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, with roles with them, with next to on and off that location, that road next to the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, all along Route 3 and on Two-Rod Highway. There are people like Sal Civiello and people tied to him and his mother and his father and the houses that live next to them, like a Faenza family. I don't know if they sold their house, they should have, they had obligations legally to reveal this with their selling of it, but they were in collusion with judges and with like a Dillon family. With we have programs with the Marines. We have Army involved with database crimes, criminally foreign influence uses of their self-value roles with that through time. Now there's also, I thought it was a Pine Street off of I think it's Ridge Road. No, not Ridge Road. I think it's Ridge Road. Off of Ridge Road, there's like a Pine Street. There was like recently reported that the police took someone to jail. And it was on a street. I never drove by it yet. But see, the Wethersfield police with Randy Lane and Meadowgate. Meadowgate turns into Randy Lane. And it's the same street though. It's just, it doesn't have it's a curved corner. But then, see, most streets you would have a new name there. That is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a Kerr family, by people associated with my neighbors, with the Wethersfield police, and with the Britain Superior Court. Dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court involved with predicate acts with foreign and domestic nations. Like with Wethersfield police, predicate acts with Mendez brothers, and with other people that had, like an older Mendez police brother involved with predicate acts, attached me to a fake conversation with him and never was. And on the Wethersfield Police Department. That's recorded. They're lying about what is recorded because they were doing that in cases. They presented falsified transcripts about what is actually recorded over YouTube, over Facebook. Wethersfield interbranch or intercities rolls with predicate acts, with databases, with their uses of Facebook, with child sex offenders, and with medical campuses involved with this. Now, see, you have to understand, like, I just was watching on TV, I don't know, well, they show how, you know, victim predators together, the people committing crimes and the police arresting them. Really, mostly the police, but they leave out where and how they're the predators in relationship to what has nothing to do with those locations. If you try to have mandated law followed in relationship to their roles with the database crimes with little kids and with other ages of campuses, attaching kids to fake locations with other kids. See, the interbranch were kept needing to hide lie progressions, needing to value hurt. Each age of correlation nature is actually simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means, with two identities of sequence nature with that, and to its capabilities of being as temporary, automatically temporary, positive, as more and more temporary, positive or negative, as temporary / lasting, forever nature. This was English was revealed to teach. This is also science recorded more competent than that intersciences, pretending it's competence. So we have to understand. For example, an algorithm, this is the algorithm. That's why in how a computer can't help but be what everything is, which is a value / value nature, value progression, if it's working right. And an ID. Know how a computer has an ID. That ID speaks with the URL. And you know, the narratives, oh, the hardware, the software, the coding. What is coding? Coding uses ID too. I read somewhere that they share the like different types of program. They use the word package. Then they have classes. I believe that's with Java. And then the classes have variables, types of variables inside of them. English was revealed to teach algebraic consciousness, where God is a variable, in relationship to this identity of value progression per science, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously as, why, and how we are individual, grouped, in species, body, or volume. To see that and how we are its We are parts of its identity. The same way all the parts of our body are semi-nature relationships to our complete, they're complete identities. The complete identity of our organs, of each organ, of each cell. It is simultaneously a semi-nature relationship to our complete identity as a simultaneous nature. Where they are, what is only a sequence nature is negative value nature. That's one of the things in demonstration to us always. See, but we have physical delusions inter science, especially with mental experts. And that was his self-valued by the recorded crime methods of the various natures of courts, fabricating informations with the worst predators and offenders of the areas and intercampuses involved with database organized crime with them, wire crimes with them, mail crimes with them. And it's a whole bunch of nations, Russians and America in collusion against ourselves, fake sides. They're like good cop, bad cop, for example. Hundreds of nations at once. Because what that does is the reactions to it need to defend themselves. The only way they can defend those reactions are the way they're trained to from what is intercampuses originally still left self-value roles with it. In other words, so they forge names and switch names. They have the Fox Connecticut News, WFSB, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a whole bunch of people tied to a house on my street, and confirmed by them involved with predicate acts on off their location with people associated with locations next to it. Also with the military, foreign, and domestic. Overt criminal enterprise involved with predicate acts with them. Human trafficking roles that the interbranch have, attaching me and other people by little illusions. Attaching me to fake locations, fake arresting officers. They do this with officers from different towns, different types of officers. So then this is tied to the interbranch, forging names and switching names at the same time through time. No, so I need a response. So they want to pretend they perceive things about the passions and emotions of other people with their physical delusions and with their criminally foreign influence premises treatments simultaneously. So they can't put that in writing. So they pretend other by stacking fake writing in databases, by making confessions, uses of that time to pretend people had reactions that never were. Uses of that time to attach people to fake words. Put them in quotes, pretend it was recorded by the interbranch. That is what is actually recorded. That's tied to them forging names and switching names. That the people involved with them, with the interbranch locations doing that, they are also recorded through time involved with manifest. A pattern tied to that. Recorded clear as day. They need to pretend it was other, because in other words, they affect confessions through the interbranch already originally and criminally foreign influence, the intermilitary. Now there's also a Chet Casper, people tied to him, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with like various people on off these people on off Two-Rod Highway, and a Leahy family with various natures of courts and judges and prosecutors involved with predicate acts with this Leahy family. Fake conversations with me that never were at all. I had one word to him after he repeated following me around. First he was standing there with like a stupid face, making a face to me from a distance. Then he comes and sits on a chair next to me. So I walk away. Then he contorts his body. Then he asked me if I wanted but it was one of those patches people put on for cigarettes. This guy wrote all these slanders of me. This guy was in the background with people interbranch involved with the Salem Faglione family. For example, with one of my neighbors involved with their extended family members. In the past, one with their extended family members and the extended family members of them on and off Trinity College with predicate acts roles, realizingly or not. Also on and off nursing homes criminally. Also on and off further the campuses. Now, these are people that attach me to fake locations, fake ties to them, just because they hang around with the person who went to my grave. Also has his extended family members. Like a Phil Collo, involved with New Britain Superior Court, and with forensics locations. Involved with them with crimes with a principal sex offenders campus. And with these two Mendez police and other retired and standing school resource officers. They also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated in many ways they're trying to hide how their families are involved with predicate acts on and off Town Line Drive with foreign and domestic nations. All the woods around it and everything are involved different ways. With the people involved, with judges and their family members criminally involved. Various natures of courts at once, criminally, individually grouped and together, criminally involved. The same way the branches of government, individually grouped and together, criminally involved, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. And that's evidence. See, but we need mandated law followed. So that when they can't follow it out here, they have to value being able to take pictures of all victim-predator roles and sides that are legitimate. Like where you have to have police. You have to have people who aren't police. So we have positive treatments and negative treatments that are simultaneously criminally foreign influenced and delusions wrought by the interbranch. Not just because they're training. They also pretend, like say you don't know a word like exculpatory evidences or inculpatory evidences, and they could use that. They just pretend that you don't know it, so they're not going to explain it to you what they mean criminally, while they're making up fake inculpatory evidences and hiding exculpatory evidences. That's recorded. That's evidence. See, they have truths used to lie. The truth. Oh, we're experts on evidences. We went to school on it. But they're using it to lie. So they're really not experts on evidences, but just experts on organized crime, evidence crimes. They're just getting over. In other words, if someone used a word that we know, like if someone said, "Oh, that was good. It was good. It was all right. It was all right." What you say? What do you mean, all right? A simple word. See, they won't explain complex words. For example, on a mass scale. I'm showing you some, for example, some of the ways that the same perpetual collusion with the victims, with all victim predators, as one fake side of correlation nature's Trinity. Correlation nature, inherent, actively, and progressively, is bonded as a Trinity. As each cell is manifest in demonstration of cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall. Two identities of sequence nature, not with that, as simultaneous nature, when as positive, also positive unto itself, the water and the air. Two identities of invisible but still discernible are the subject of that which has the cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall manifest. Note also, for example, because the cell walls are shared. And what do they share? Body of value discernment mechanism, not just body of value development. Every form of life has this cellular structure, the body of value. This invisible but still discernible identity of value / value progression is science. See, but we have criminally foreign influence sciences individually grouped together per a breaching method that each nation's A1 through Z, however many nations named Z there are, or countries or territories. We're in a semi-ancient trap that came since before modern religion's messengers, who could only do semi-damage control, who already didn't have, even like kings, All locations, areas, and states are already criminally foreign influenced. The science is further. The database relationships of the science is further. Simultaneously, private database relationships simultaneously is juxtaposed with overt criminal enterprises by what really keeps them most facilitated, furthered, and covered up, and blamed on other causes, things themselves, dishonestly, and with delusions. See, we have our experts of psychology that have been covering life progressions with courts and their family members, kept needing to hide those life progressions through time. I just remind, these are people associated with the World Trade Center, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated remote uses. They involved a Keene family with their predicate acts against me and against them. I don't know if they, if they make opinions, they're going to express physical delusions. They're going to express. That's recorded because I already asked for a response and they didn't give it, so they were obligated to anyways. They didn't. They're involved with a principal sex offenders campus as victims, but everyone's speaking through other. Weathersfield police need to pretend. The various natures of courts need to pretend they care about victims. I'm not trying to do anything, say anything bad about the Keene family. This is Weathersfield police that attached me to a fake conversation with this Janito Mendez. I mean, they have names forging and switching and misspelling. I'm the Weathersfield Police Department. He pretended I had a conversation with him. They put me in quotes. They've been using quotes criminally with various natures of courts involved with him criminally. New Britain Superior Court involved with him and his brother with predicate acts with the principal sex offenders campus. Also, other school resource officers involved with these Mendez police with database crimes. Crime rolls with untimely deaths that brought up the principal sex offenders campus. They're also involved with the extended family members of a Collusion family on my street. Involved with them with predicate acts. And with my new and past neighbors, I don't know their names. They're involved with them preventing me from knowing names, forcing people to speak through others, and their roles with confessions tied to the confessions of the courts. One-way reports. So WFSB and Fox Connecticut News attached, especially WFSB with this one side, and especially other ways with Fox Connecticut News, with these same people, and other people like a Kerr family, like a Mike Violet, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also by this Collusion family involved with them, with this Della Fera family. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminal uses of sisters in a Spada family and of their boyfriends. So involved with predicate acts with the judges and with prosecutors with them and with the campus's databases and with the mail and wire crimes, and with the wire crimes of WFSB, Fox Connecticut. And WFSB told a whole bunch of lies when they talk about me, when they were forcing the principal sex offender and the rest of them then and now recorded, and the untimely deaths rolls they have, and drug crimes rolls. They also have CIA and FBI recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a Scalora family, with Weathersfield police, with predicate acts rolls with them on my street, and their roles with forging names, switching names, distinctly and non-distinctly with the judicial branch, individually grouped and together. There were also mayors and higher politicians recorded involved with them criminally, and Russians. No, so there's the guy with a summary judgment talk show, Ed Peruta. I don't know him. I just know of him. There's a Tom Peruta, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with houses next to him. Also involved with people tied to the Scalora family and women police forms, involved with predicate acts and with stacking, falsified. They're using have been using investigations and investigators criminally. I don't know, I understand all it is tied to the other corners of Griswold Street, are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with these patterns of predicate acts. Now, the Highcrest School recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with New Britain, dozens of people from New Britain Superior Court. They're involved with their kids, with crimes with untimely deaths that brought off the principal child sex offenders campus, and with people from their sexual circles, and since they were kids involved criminally, now they have new parents. Oh, so their sense and sensibilities. They don't want to talk. So there's a degenerate Mayana family involved with sequence shifts and identity thefts. Sequence shifts with whole grades. I never met him and my friends of my neighbors who hung around with his cousins. So some of them I did once in a while, with exceptions. We had judges, prosecutors, military families, and overt criminal enterprises with identity thefts, where they roles with predicate acts on campuses. They make self-value for the time impositions. For all the impositions are all the fake positive, simultaneous, fake, righteous, negative. Like pretended righteous justice. We have courts faking, using those locations to fake things into databases. So pick one name in sequence for them having forged names, switch names. They also criminally speak through the family members of the kids they're involved with the abuses of, attaching them. Now, New Britain Superior Court, Wethersfield Police recorded, confessed, and demonstrated uses by others. And to me, these are also people involved with West Hartford before the World Trade Center attack. With New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts are involved with predicate acts in West Hartford. Not just in New Britain, in Hartford. Leading up to the World Trade Center attack. As the people involved with predicate acts with this Leahy family, with the investigators of that. Now, so I don't know where this Leahy family live. Wethersfield Police have recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they forged and switched names with them. They've been falsifying police reports with them. So I want a restraining order against them and those judges. I want them out. If they can't follow, if they can't admit they did wrong, get them out now. Have them get on paper now. Pick one name in sequence with the state's attorneys and with the prosecutors. Now, the CM Faglione family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that Brian Silver and others with this Leahy family are involved with predicate acts with them, with the businesses downtown Hartford. They know where someone's going to walk there, so they act like they knew them, so they can speak things behind their back, pretend credibility to sequence shifts. There's also a girl tied to Oliveri family and to a Joshua Stryker, who are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts on the campuses I went to in my town, but also intercities. Roles with predicate acts on Central Trinity College and on CCSU involved with it. They have parents involved with agencies, and with military they have nothing. They have no credibility. They can't defend themselves, and what they call identities of law and afford are simple, but still just not even as extensive as it has to be. American history, you understand it, clear as day. Why and how they force those groups. Why and how they're forcing it now. They are delusions, wrought, and criminally foreign influence when they speak about women's rights. The women leaders. Criminally foreign influence that's exploited too. And they're self-valued exploited. Respond for them. I'll show you how to answer your questions. What do you do with the coronavirus? You can't ask them. They're self-valuing how all the impositions with pathology of infrastructure and of means to it since before cars, tactically denatured, individually grouped and together designed so no one could individually grouped and all together couldn't fathom affording other. Even though we don't even have cars, they didn't have cars then. To make America great, you have to make it native again. To make MAGA, you have to make MANA. Make America native again. Because this one identity of value progression, value/value progression with a slash counts as an identity of volume. That one being made also as a quality of diffusion, positive or negative, where we are already temporary positive. That's temporary/lastive positive, holding on to the rest of holding on to the perfection of its identity, which will only stay positive unto itself. All exceptions and exception nature, for example, leave of IDs is forced space nature transfer. That's what it most probably means. So we have interpretations of the ancients that are criminally foreign influenced, so because they wear positive and negative treatments, misprision. The branches of government individually grouped and together, they are libogressions. They have been, with that, they've been using investigations and investigators in collusion with that which kept and keeps them needing to hide libogressions. So I don't know a Danielle Barone. She sought me out to confess and record her roles with military families who said to me, like a Justin Levinskas, a Mark Violet, two Carone brothers, they shared her and her brothers and their roles with like sexual circles involved with Town Line Drive, etc. So what we have to do is have these judges and these prosecutors demonstrated for and as what they are. And you have to demonstrate how the news, for example, we're just doing our jobs. They stack all these lies against me. That's a whole bunch of impositions and tied to a whole bunch of other lies and liars. They know that when you, obviously, if you put one lie against someone as the news, and they did that to force a principal sex offender I caught them with, before that was found out. Principal child offender, whatever it was for. It was also sexually tied to New Britain Superior Court, was involved with rape threats, with other natures of courts and their families, with the field police, with predicate acts on my street with those people. Because they had to pretend things. They also engineer this where they can pretend other real emotions, like, we're just worried about our kids. They wouldn't have, in other words, those aren't their real motivations. Without just that was the real motivations are needs to hide libogressions. The real motivations are roles with database crimes, attaching kids to fake locations. All of exceptions, exception nature set up to exploit exceptions, exception nature. These are people leading up to the World Trade Center. There's also a Joe DeMauro recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts with those girls tied to, I don't know the names of them. Those are the people tied to Joe DeMauro. And sexual circles he was involved with a Mike Kerr, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts with judges and with prosecutors and overt criminal enterprises and the witness protection program's stewards involved with Officer Jerry Miller, also involved with wire crimes of my new and past neighbors. Other officers forging, switching names. They were Wethersfield Police. Intercity police and judges and courts are involved with predicate acts, identity thefts, roles with a Scalora family. Now there's also a whole bunch of ties to people on off 2 Route Highway in the area around there with the sequence shifts, where they had whole ages pretend people. There's a Sal Civiello and people tied to him, like a Kathy Kennedy. They were pretending they had conversations with me on Facebook, whole detailed conversations, fake locations, ties to me, as their roles with the people with the child sex offenders proven, and further natures of organized crime with them, as the people involved with the corners of streets, and with that phenomenon tied to fact sheet nature, where they have the corner of Meadowgate and Randy Lane recorded, confessed, and demonstrated of a Ray Cololo, a Joe DeMauro, and a Mike Kerr pretended lies to some girls. I think their name is Mogman. And now they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with wire crimes, lying to my family members about I had my back tied to that. I never had a conversation with them in my life. Now I need the names of the judges and the prosecutors involved with that, because there were other houses there. I don't even know them. So they're trying to make fights so they can make everything. Why would they bring up our house? We don't know them. Of course you don't know me. So what is the problem with these people? They can't put anything on paper since I was a kid. With them forging names, switching names, pretending to be against things that they're doing and first. Sequence shifting too. Same ones involved with predicate acts, involved with ties to people involved with predicate acts. I mean, with post-dated documents, sequence shifts, natures of wrongdoing and other bad predicate acts, with the World Trade Center attack, with the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center towers right before the attack. So, make sure, Fox Connecticut News, WFSB, you stop having the people on the phone pretend they don't have time and they don't understand. Fix the fake words you attach me to, and let's get going. What is his name? Chris? There's a White family. I think it's a Chris White. I think that's the name of it. Tied to this, there's a Jennifer Socia. I don't know her other name. I never had a class with her. Her and a Ray Reynolds involved with doctors, with drugs, with kids, and with military. Now there's a Jim Socia wearing an army thing. He's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with her with predicate acts. With people that involved with predicate acts on and off Central Connecticut State University, intercity through time, tied to their roles with those drug crimes. People with the doctors in the past. Now these are a whole bunch of people tied to my neighbors, and the one with the extended family members that in my grade age range, but I never had anything to do with them. That pretended other. All exception nature. Now, there was no exceptions. I explained a couple exceptions with Phil Claw. He tried to pretend he knew me too. In those contexts, they were all out of their way going, pretending they knew me in locations I never was, because they're putting fake things in databases. So where do these two Mendez police live? And where does the Wethersfield police chief live? And his extended family members, while we're waiting, and let's get the names of the courts further involved with them. Get them on paper now. WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, fix those fake crimes. And WTNH, let's go. You have a Del Fair family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with you with a whole bunch of people at Wethersfield Park, Millwoods Park, on and off those elections locations. Wethersfield town offices further involved with predicate acts with you guys. Dozens of people tied to a Dillon family with my new and past neighbors involved with the pattern of predicate acts. Wethersfield police with the CIA, FBI, and other nations, overt criminal enterprises, and the witness protection programs ties to my street. And the fact-cheating nature impositions of that, and of them exploiting it knowingly. For fact-cheating nature, racketeering, all tied to their evidence racket.